Hey everyone, today I want to talk about one of my first loves, and that is the 50mm prime lens. And we're going to cover why I think every parent should own one. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Desmond, and I make videos for creative dads and parents that want to take better photos and shoot better videos. So if you're interested in camera gear reviews, how-tos and tutorials, or how I navigate photo and video through the lens of a parent, hit the like button and subscribe for more. All right, and today we're gonna talk about the 50mm prime lens. This is the very first prime lens that I bought when I started out in photography, and I wanna cover 5 reasons why I think every creative dad and parent should own one. Okay, first, let's talk about the versatility of a 50mm focal length. If you've ever seen any of my other videos, you know that I talk about versatility a lot, right? Because as a parent, we don't have the luxury of carrying around too many prime lenses. We definitely don't have the time to switch between lenses while we're trying to get photos of our kids. And having a lens that will let you get a range of different photos is really important, right? So with a 50mm, yes, you get these incredible portrait shots. You get great close-up detailed images of your kids, but you can also use it for street photography. And you know, if you zoom with your feet, you can use this to get great wide angle shots. You can really do a lot with a focal length like the 50mm. The next reason is that humans love the way that this focal length looks. So let me explain that a bit. The 50mm focal length is the closest to what the human eye sees. So when we see photos or videos shot on a 50mm focal length, it's naturally pleasing to the eye. You've got this really natural background blur and background separation, that bokeh. You've got a really good focal length and a field of view. And then there's also no distortion in the image. So you're getting this gorgeous, aesthetically pleasing photo or video that we as people love to look at. And this naturally pleasing focal length actually goes a really long way, especially for beginners. So if you're a creative dad or parent that's just getting into photography or videography, the 50mm focal length is really gonna help you create gorgeous looking images right out of camera. And you'd be surprised with how far that goes in terms of creativity and motivation for you to actually shoot more. So getting these great shots right out of camera, it's going to motivate you to take your camera out more often. It's going to motivate you to keep working on your craft, to shoot more moments, to take more photos. And that's really the most important thing about this lens. All right, so next that leads me to variety. Now the 50mm focal length is definitely one of the most popular focal lengths for photography and video. And that means that there are a number of different options available for any type of shooter. So if you're doing Canon, Nikon, Sony, Sigma, all these major brands, there are a variety of different options available at different price points and different performance points. So on one end of the spectrum, you can get a $200, $250 nifty 50, which will still produce incredible results and is a great option for beginners because it's cheap, it will still help you take incredible photos, and you've still got that versatile focal length. On the other end, you could get a monster like the new 50mm 1.2 G Master from Sony. So the great thing is there are a ton of options to choose from. You don't just have to pick the most expensive or the cheapest. There are a ton of things in between. One example is this. This is my 55mm Zeiss 1.8. I love this lens. I bought this lens about 7 years ago, and it's still my favorite 55mm lens. It produces incredible photographs. I think it was about $1,000 when I bought it. I think that's probably about the price it is now, maybe about 900 bucks. But yeah, this is kind of in the middle of those two options I just mentioned, and it still produces incredible results, even this many years later. All right, so another thing that's really important for parents to keep in mind is the size of prime lenses. Now with 50mm lenses, they tend to be much smaller than some of the other focal lengths. So like I was saying, an example, this is that 55mm Zeiss lens. it is incredibly small, especially without that lens hood on. That's also why I love the 50mm focal length, because the ones you can get on the cheaper end, the nifty 50s, are tiny. This mid-range one is tiny. I think the 1.2 is probably a little bit large relative to the regular size of a 50mm lens, but no matter what you choose, you're probably going to be able to find a very compact solution. And for us as parent shooters, having a small lightweight lens that is still hyper performant, that can deliver incredible results, is valuable, because we're already carrying a ton of gear, we're carrying kids, we're moving, so having a small body and lens setup that will still deliver incredible photos is a must-have for any parent photographer. And the last reason I recommend the 50mm primes is because they tend to be very fast lenses relative to their size and price. So for a $250 50mm prime, you can get one with a wide open aperture of 1.8. You can spend a little bit more money, get one at 1.4, but relative to other prime lenses like a 85 or even certain 35mm lenses, these are much cheaper and you get a lot more performance out of them. And with the faster lens, with the wider aperture, you have better low light performance. One thing I will say for parent photographers, low light performance is actually really important. It may not be as big a deal for professional photographers, wedding photographers, studio photographers, where you have time to set up light, you can bring flashes, you can manage your scene. For parent photographers, a lot of us, we're just trying to capture moments as they're happening. We don't have time to set up lights. We won't bring lights. We don't have flashes. And a lot of times we're shooting memories in a dimly lit home, or in a restaurant, or like a school play, or indoors somewhere. So having a lens that performs well in low light, that can let in a lot of light without having to bring our own lighting, without having to bring a flash, is important, right? Because a lot of the times we're just relying on the camera body and the lens to help deliver the photos that we want. All right, so those are the 5 reasons why I recommend every creative dad and parent get a 50mm prime lens. And if you're a beginner, I actually highly recommend this as your first prime lens. It's gonna go a long way in helping you build confidence. It's gonna help you motivate yourself to take more photos, just because the images that come out of this focal length are gonna be so naturally pleasing. They're just gonna look great, and it's gonna make you want to shoot more. And that will help you hone your skills, and then you can start moving into different primes, different focal lengths. But with that, thank you all for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe if you want to see more just like this, and I will see you all in the next one.